Hey, 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 fam. What's up? Welcome to Tuesdays with Tawana. I am your host and your curator, Tawana Rev T. I am in the building. It's Tuesdays with Tawana, where we come together weekly to share and build community one episode at a time. This is available as a video cast on Facebook Live, and then you can watch it later either on Facebook Live or on YouTube, and it's on all across your platforms. Yeah, Apple, Spotify, Anchor. It's all on your podcast uh, platforms. So, with that, I want us to get started because we got a lot I have a lot to think about that I want to share in community, and I hope that you will chime in and answer some unanswered questions that I have and just some concerns. And we are living in some trying times. And again, you make comments, let me know you in the building, shout me out. I will shout you out. If you want to just chill and kind of just sit in the cut, that is fine as well. Um, Whatever. But I don't want to talk for the next 30 minutes all by myself. So I would love to build community, not build individualistic empire where I have these followers, right? We're not trying to have that. So my pink sister is on. Yes, we have a call later on today. I'm so excited. What's up, Jackie? Good to see you. I'm glad you're in the building. Hope you can hang out for a little while because there's quite a bit to talk about. I in my promo, if you will, letting people know what we're going to talk about today. Hey, Mother Carolyn. For those of you who are new, you may hear me shout some people out because we're on Facebook Live, and I speak names and bring everybody into this community by speaking their names, inserting their comments into this narrative, whether we agree, disagree, or we're on the fence, or we're trying to figure it out together. We are here to build community and not just go along just to get along. It's too much going on in the world for us not to come together collectively. So I've been promoting the theme for today, my body, whose choice, to give us some time to think about this upcoming video cast and podcast, to really think about with all that's going on with the vaccine, those who don't want to be vaccinated, those who cannot be vaccinated, and those who are just anti vaxxers. They are anti masks, they are anti protection, they are part of the right alt, if you will, and they probably supported the insurrection. And we're talking about extremists. Now, hey, Tammy, good to see you, honey. Glad you could join us on today. Um, so, when we talk about my body and my sacred decision, we know that Texas and other places are either banning abortions at a certain time or a certain term, up to a certain term. Hey, brother. What's up, Larry? My handsome brother. Thank you for joining. So, we're talking about my body, whose choice, and we'll get to the obvious answer to that in a moment. But I just want to wrestle with that, and I invite your comments and what you might know. I don't know all of the details with what's going on in Texas and other states, but we're talking about abortion rights and just women's bodies, and who has the right to tell women what to do with their bodies. Voter suppression is happening across the country, and we need to pay attention to that. And Texas is leading, seems to be leading the way. Correct me if I'm wrong. I don't watch a lot of the news. I get a lot of my news off of social media and usually black owned media communications, whether it's like the Root or the Atlantic, or if someone posts something from on IG from a black-owned organization, I'll check that out. Hey, Mama Lovey, good to see your beautiful self in the building on today. Yes, I fixed my comments from last week. I figured out what happened. So that's what happens when you take off for 2 months and you got to come back and learn the system all over again. So when we talk about my body and whose choice, I want us to really, really think about this. Yes, the Black Information Network, I read and catch up with them as well. Thank you for noting that. If you know of any other Black owned communications companies, media companies, whether it's online blogs, news feeds, newspapers, digital newspapers, I should say. I do read the Washington Post to get another perspective, and I also read the New York Times. I don't necessarily read anything or watch anything Fox related. I don't do the New York Daily Post. So if you have some positive recommendations where people can get some factual information about us, people who look like us are writing about us and telling our story as far as what's happening in the communities, because they'll talk about, vaccinations. We're at this great rate, but because we are 14% of this nation, and when they say vaccinations are good, let's break those numbers down to what percentage of the 14% is really getting vaccinated, and really doing what needs to be done so that they're not dying exponentially from COVID, or trying to, because it's nothing perfect, right? Yes, NPR, awesome place. I'm a little biased. Soul to Soul Sisters was featured on NPR. It's on our website. So if you want to take a listen to it, it's quite some time ago, but I love NPR. It definitely gives a wide perspective. And Tammy just posted which states have restricted voter access and which states have expanded. And it's important for us to know this information. Soul to Soul Sisters has a whole pillar, Let My People Vote, because of voter suppression, and has been fighting this fight for the last 6 years. And fighting voter suppression goes back to the civil rights movement and Jim Crow and segregation, and polling places were far away and they had to show ID. So when we talk about rights and we talk about our decisions as citizens, if you will, or just human beings are in who are in this country, who have access to voting, who have access to any type of legislation and bills and things of that nature. Your voice needs to be heard, because we have seen in the past, when your voice is heard, the atmosphere shifts and we begin to see change not as fast as we would like to see it, but we definitely see some semblance of change happening. And we're starting to call people out, call people in, and hold people accountable for what's happening in this country, where it is harming Black beloveds in particular, but also our Indigenous, First Nation, and people of color. So when we talk about going back to my body and whose choice, right? Here we are, let me go back for a minute. I remember in seminary and just talking with other womanists and amazing women in my life, like Mama Lovey, who's on the line, and Mother Carolyn, and talking with Dr. Regina Groff, or Dr. Rosemary Allen, or folk like that, who are just, not only they have this intellectual prowess, but they have this spiritual prowess, this compassion. They're well aware of what's going on, and they have a pulse on what's happening in our community. So I often talk to them, and when we talk about scripture, we see this a lot in the churches, where pastors, preachers, leaders will take out a scripture to make it fit whatever their belief is. And this is when we talk about, homophobia, same sex phobia, same sex gender loving phobia, xenophobia. The list goes, all the phobias, right? Then we have classism and sexism. We have all of that. And oftentimes we see that those scriptures are taken out to make it fit. But we're forgetting about the context. We're forgetting about the Sitzum Laban, which is the moment that the scripture was written. What was the intention? And sometimes we know that the intention is different from the impact, right? We hope, we have best intentions, We have these great intentions, and all we can do is hope that it'll fall on the hearts and minds and souls of people to care about one another as human beings and to do whatever necessary to keep each other safe. I am because you are. If you are not safe, then I am not safe, because we are community. We are beloveds. We are in this fight together. We have to live. We have to survive. We have to thrive. We got to go back to work. We got to go to the supermarket. We got to engage with other people. We got to take our children to school, our unvaccinated children to school who are under 12, and pray that they don't have the coronavirus or the Delta variant. And there's so much going on. And you have folk that are taking legislation to the umpteenth level and taking like Roe versus Wade or Brown versus the Board of Education and other things that have passed, trying to take that out of context to use it for their advantage. And this is what white power does, right? This is what the systemic white privilege and white power and white supremacy comes from. They'll take it and they'll twist it. The right to bear arms, they take it and they twist it. The right to go and vote, they'll take it and twist it. And now we become inhumane to them, and we become objects now that are supposed to fit into this nice little box. But I'm here to stir up the pot a bit and to really talk about how this is supposed to be the United States of America, and how these people are given space and permission to take things out of context, to tell women what to do and when to do, what to do with their bodies, when to do it, how to do it. And it's not their place to do that. Your job, our job collectively, is to love one another unconditionally and with unconditional positive regard, and to walk into the situation with best intentions, and to do whatever is necessary to meet that person where they are and support their decision. And if I don't support your decision, I walk away and I pray the best for you. I don't have a right to then impose my beliefs on you and expect you then to all of a sudden just change and follow these inhumane rules and laws that I have put together and in place, forgetting about the 400 plus years of slavery, forgetting about historically being marginalized and oppressed, forgetting about classism, forgetting about redlining, forgetting about gentrification, forgetting about health, forgetting about pain. Black women die exponentially during childbirth as compared to other groups. So when we talk about, abortion is, or sexual reproductive justice, I should say, because it's not only abortion, it's so much more to it. It is health care. It's taking care of self, taking care of family, taking care of community. So my body is my sacred decision, reproductive justice. So I want to go back for a minute when I was first and give you an example, and please chime in with your thoughts on this as well. When I was first diagnosed with breast cancer back in November of 2016, three of my beloveds came to my home. I was living in the apartment alone at the time, and they came to my home, and I won't share everything because it was so sacred, but drumming happened, smudging happened, tears happened, laughter happened, prayers happened, intentions happened, setting intentions happened. And one of the people who were there blessing me and blessing my home was diagnosed with a type of cancer where that person was able just to do surgery. They didn't do treatment. They followed a holistic route. And this person has been living clean and living this holistic way for quite a long time. So their body responded well to their choice of treatment. And their treatment plan included surgery and then holistic meds and doing what they needed to do to eat foods that kept the cancer at bay or kept it under control. And then for me, my choice obviously was to receive chemotherapy, and then later a targeted therapy, and then later on doing the immunotherapy trial for a year. It didn't work out for the most part to my advantage, but it worked for a year, and my first dose reduced my cancer by 76%. So I was on it for a year and then it sent my body into overdrive. But those were choices that I had to make. I had other choices to make, but in order for me to make those other choices, I had to discern where I was, my Sitzum my context, my space, and my place. And I haven't always been a clean eater. I haven't always been a vegan or someone who I've exercised, most of my life and have been very active. But if talk about food, I'm very picky. I am, um, yeah, I don't like my food touching, all that good stuff. So my body wasn't ready for the shock, if you will. According to how I felt, my body wasn't ready for the shock of having surgery and then going total 180 into this holistic route. I don't think that I would have had the same outcome based on my life, my for at the time 46 years on this earth. But what I mentioned that story because the person who chose the holistic route still loved me and still shared information with me and didn't overload or guilt me about choosing big pharma and choosing traditional ways of healing versus the non-traditional clean eating way, right? So this person did not shame me, this person did not discard me, this person encouraged me slowly, deeply, lovingly, and I have made substantial changes in my life and in my eating habits and how I don't eat out often, except when I go to New York and I have to hit all of my favorite restaurants, right, Larry? Or when I come to Atlanta, Busy Bee is calling my name, Mother Carolyn and Tammy. So those I make exceptions, but that's not the norm in my life anymore because I was able to combine my experience and combine it with that person's experience to make my life and my healing journey just a little better. My numbers look just a little better because of what I'm putting in my body, period. Right? So, even when we talk about what we put in our bodies, the vaccine, I've had both vaccines and I've had a booster shot. I'm at a place in my life where I am immune compromised. This is what I know, and I base my decisions on what I know and not necessarily what someone else knows because our lives and our choices and our decisions and our health challenges are going to look different. If you put different women in a room who was diagnosed with breast cancer, each one is going to tell you a different diagnosis, invasive, HER2 positive, triple negative, ER positive, PR. It's so many different types of breast cancer and so many different types of medications. Some medication will make you lose weight and lose your appetite and lose your hair. Other medications are, where people can still work and be on chemo and they're strong enough, or all of the or many of the healing products that they're pumping into our bodies and our bodies cause other side effects. Like I have hard neuropathy. My fingertips are numb, or I get pain in my feet. It like cramps up, or fatigue. Or I had treatment on yesterday, and I feel good today. I'm so grateful to be with you and build community on this Tuesday because I'm still on steroids. And once the steroids begin to leave my body, then I like drop and I have to sleep and rest for like 2 days. So my treatment week, cancer is so unpredictable. And my treatment weeks look differently. But what I have to do is take one moment at a time, honor the space that I am in, honor my beloveds around me who are sharing in this type of healing space, whether it's breast cancer or otherwise, or those who have overcome and they are no longer in active treatment or have other ailments, but we come together and we honor and respect each other where we are, and we honor our choices and we honor our bodies. And what's happening is white supremacy, white power tend that for their own, believe me, this all of these decisions are for their own power and control. It is not for the betterment of the human race. It's not for the betterment of black folk. I can speak for me as a black woman because, as my sister Tammy Denise, who's the president of Carrie's Touch, would say, the needle for black women dying exponentially as compared to white women. That needle has not moved in 15 years, and that is totally unacceptable. So if people in leadership and in politics and writing legislation and writing bills and stuff, all of that needs to be included in the narrative. That there are some people who are taking this out of context to fit their own self-aggrandizement, their own power, holding on to their power and control. They mad because now they are not the highest in number in population, that people of color are outnumbering them. So why not do a tactic like this? Why not be an anti-vaxxer, because you know it's going to impact black and brown communities exponentially, and we are going to die, whether it's because of lack of health care, which oftentimes it's because it's too expensive and we're not paying a livable wage. You see where I'm going here? It's this long litany of things, and they're not isolated, they're not in silos, they're all together. So when we talk about race and racism and anti-black racism, all of that is the beginning and the forefront to help us all get free and to honor one another, because we have dealt with these issues for so long, and we are dying exponentially because of diabetes and not being able to care for ourselves or have access to proper medication, or heart challenges, or the list goes on, and it's not always just what we eat. Even doctors will tell you that I don't really know how cancer rises up differently in each person, because we all have cancer cells in our body. It's just how they grow and feed off of the sugar and the protein, and how the cancer cells grow in our body in a certain way. So I'm HER2 positive, which is one of the more aggressive, which is why I had aggressive treatment, which is why I had to go through what I went through with, just a lot of losses, but also a lot of gains, because I had a beautiful community around me who helped me and supported me and loved on me. Right. But when we talk about my body, my decision, and my choice, that comes to the treatment that we choose to take, what we do with our bodies sexually, what we do with our body with reproductive justice. No one should have the right to tell us what to do. And to lump that with anti-vaxxers is unfair. It's an untruth. It is disrespectful. It's dehumanizing, because they have a choice, and they are making a choice not to be vaccinated. We're not, and I am not shaming those who are not vaccinated for health reasons. I know that people who may have other underlying ailments cannot be vaccinated because the vaccine just will make matters worse in their bodies. But they would need to take the necessary precautions, right? They may not be able to go to a large stadium or a large worship center, or they may have to stay home and do smaller things to engage with community and take advantage of this virtual space, and just make different decisions. Or if it's a religious reason and a whole family is not being vaccinated, then the choice should be that they wear a mask, stay out of public places, wash, period, and then wash their hands. They also have to remain 6 feet away from others. So the point of you not being vaccinated, for me, that it's a challenge, because I want coronavirus to go away. But it also is a challenge because you don't want to get vaccinated, but yet you want all of the benefits in life of doing things like we used to do. And until we learn a lesson about what we need to do right now in response to this coronavirus, another variant is coming, beloved. It may not be as bad as the Delta variant, but it's some Lambda something or the other. So this is going to keep happening until we come together and learn to humanize one another. And if we are making decisions, there are consequences for our decisions. There are consequences for me choosing to go through big pharma to be healed versus somebody else using holistic medicine. There are consequences. There are chances that we take, and yet many of us are still here, and others of us were healed differently. So when you're anti-vaxxers or don't want to be vaccinated or can't be vaccinated, there are just certain things that you need to do to protect yourself. Because I don't want you to die. I really don't. And this Delta variant is killing folk left and right. And I want to be able to be around you, right? I want to be around my beloveds, but I can't do that because a lot of people ain't acting right. They're not being vaccinated for their own safety. Love yourself, right? Love your God with all your heart, soul, and mind, and love your neighbor as you love yourself. So, as you love yourself, which tells me, are you not loving on yourself because you're out here coughing on people in the middle of the store? You're having fits on airplanes, grabbing your mask like some demon is just taking over. But what happens to the other person sitting next to you? Do you care? It seems that you don't. But if we care for one another, then we can answer the question, you know, whose choice is it? It's our choice because our choice is going to be rooted in love and care and compassion and empathy, Ubuntu. It's going to bring us together. We're going to honor and respect one another and keep each other's well being in mind. So if that means that I have to be a little uncomfortable and wear a mask for several hours, then so be it. But I'll be alive and I'll increase the chances of my beloveds living, my children, their teachers, the doctors, and whomever else is in, caregivers, uh, early childhood educate. Everybody will be safe, and it's a decision that we have to make. But sometimes I'm not going to say we, they'll take this decision out of context and say, you can't tell me what to do with my body. I can when it's a public health crisis like the NRA or racism or now coronavirus, and those not wanting to be vaccinated when they have access and they have the health and they just don't want to be vaccinated. That tells me that that is rooted in whiteness and rooted in individualism and rooted in power hoarding, and it has nothing to do with both. And it has nothing to do with building community. It has nothing to do with loving on each other with unconditional positive regard. Nothing at all. Nothing. So what I would love to see us is to truly, truly, truly take agency over our bodies, because we have given up enough over time. Whether we were picking cotton or we were cowboys or we were running from enslavement or dealing with segregation and then some false integration and having people who attack us at the counter, lunch counter, or how about now, at public places, it'll say for vaccinated people only. They get mad, but you weren't mad when it was saying for blacks only and for whites only, and the white people would have these great, places to walk into, even to use the bathroom, while where we would have to go is totally disgusting, unclean, and not cared for because we were dehumanized. So I would love to see us insert humanity back into this system of making choices about my body, because I don't think anyone has a right to make a choice for me about my body. This is my body and I make the choices. Who are you to tell me what I can and cannot do? And as long as I am not causing harm, because the whole mantra of this nation is supposed to be first, do no harm. We hear that a lot with doctors and in the medical field, but the first thing we are called to do is to do no harm. And harm is being done. Like we're still waiting for the arrest of Breonna Taylor's killers. We're hoping that all of these indictments and these things that are happening will come through to the end and we will see some semblance of justice. We're hoping that our leadership in this country will use the executive order powers as their predecessor did to make changes to some of these things. We hope that we will have the resources to do what we need to do to care for one another. So it's my body because it's my sacred decision to do what I need to do for my body, whether it's healthcare, whether it's my choices in life. It's my decision, and consequences are good and not so good. So you can reap what you sow, right? So if you sow well, you'll reap well. And if you sow selfishly with false power and power hoarding and thinking about self and thinking that people are the mistake instead of people make mistakes, or you think that way, that's what you're going to sow, and you're going to continue to be angry with the world. But the really jacked up part about it is that when you're angry at the world, it falls on me. It falls on us in the Black diaspora, right? So I wish you well. I wish you would. Oh, hey, Tony. Hey, big sister, watching from New York train from the first time since March. Oh, see, we were just talking about, caring for one another. And I saw a clip, I was just going to mention it, where the trains are just as crowded as they were. Everybody's going back. We only want to go back for Sankofa, to bring back that which is going to give us life. And having crowded platforms and trains is not giving us life. It's putting us in danger. And we're going to end up closing down once again. And then we need a training manual on how to re-enter life, because people are driving crazy. People are just doing crazy things on the streets and in the airports and on the airplanes. We listen, that's my time. I hope that the radio silence has been deep listening. I'm hoping to hear more. If something comes up for you or wells up for you, please feel to put it in the comments. I check the comments when I can. I'm grateful to be a part of community. I'm grateful to be here with you. I'm grateful that you decided to take time out to join Tuesdays with Tawana. I am grateful that I have this time slot in between writing for my dissertation. Last night, I sent another edit to my dissertation chair for chapter 4. This evening, I'll start working on the last chapter, chapter 5, and we are praying that I'm able to defend the last week in October. So keep your eye out for that, because it took a village to do this. It took a village to stand by me in the midst of diagnosis. It took the village of Soul to Soul Sisters. It took the village of my mamas and my family from Atlanta to New York. It took a village for us to get through this dissertation in the midst of active treatment. Oh, Ty Boogie is in the building. Yes, 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 yes. I love it. You just made my day. For all of you, you make my day every day. So that's my time. My voice is a little hoarse. I was talking to Mother Carolyn on yesterday. My voice does not depict how I feel. I'm not like tired, but usually chemotherapy, the result just impacts my voice and it makes it very hoarse. So I'll be hoarse for another couple of days, but I don't mind. I'm grateful for voice, grateful for agency, grateful for the opportunity to love on you, grateful that you join TWT on Tuesdays, grateful that you go to Teespring and check out my collection. I'm going to do some things. Once I defend, I can enhance some things on the t-shirt collection for TWT and do some other things. So right now, just bear with me, hang in there, rock with me on Tuesdays at 2 o'clock Eastern Time, every Tuesday, where we chop it up. If you have an idea of something that you want to bring to the table or you want to come on the show, come on, let's make it happen. I'll have some guests in October. I'm already in conversation with a couple of people, so I am definitely looking forward. This is season 3 for us, y'all. We did it. I'm still here. Still here. We're still here, rocking together, building community, one episode at a time. I love y'all, and I'm out. Peace. Y'all the best. Keep watching. Keep sharing. Keep liking. Keep sending me the hearts. Keep sharing. I love you to the moon and beyond. Peace out.